Hello students, I'm again back with my new video and today we will study Chapter 3, The Selfish Giant from the supplementary reader book of Class 8th. Dear students, the author of this story is Oscar Wilde, who was the greatest author of 19th century. His full name was Oscar Fingal O'Flaherty Wills Wilde. He was born on 16th October 1854 and he passed away on November 30, 1900. Dear students, Oscar Wilde was an Irish poet and playwright, and he was known for his biting wit, flamboyant dress, and glittering conversational skill. Here flamboyant means confident and attractive personality he was. And Wilde became one of the best known personalities of his day. He has written so many works, but I have presented here one example of prose. And his prose was The Happy Prince and Other Tales. And his play was A Woman of No Importance, which was written in 1893. Other than that, there are many works, but it was not possible for me to present everything in the single slide. Now let's move to the story. First of all, let's see the introduction. Dear students, The Selfish Giant is a beautiful, fictitious story by Oscar Wilde. Here, fictitious story means imaginary story. This story revolves around a play garden which becomes lavish in the presence of children and dries in the absence of children. This story teaches us to treat kids in the right way. Here, lavish means the garden used to become so enriched and beautiful in the presence of the children, as lavish means rich. So the garden used to look so rich, elaborated, and so beautiful in the presence of children. Dear students, let's begin the summary of the story. There was a lovely garden in a city. Kids used to play there after school time. They were so eager to go there, and as the school was over, they were not going to their homes. But can you imagine where were they going? Yes, they were going to this garden. There were numerous grass, flowers, and peach trees. Peach is a juicy fruit, and these peach trees used to cheer the kids. Means the kids used to become so happy to play on these trees. And birds used to sing mesmerizing songs, so attractive songs that the children used to have fun listening the songs of birds. In the spring, plant brought flowers, while in winters they were giving sweet fruits. The kids were happy like never before. But this happiness did not survive long, because the owner of that garden, who was the selfish giant, came back. Here selfish means the quality of thinking about one's own pleasures and never thinking about what others think. Here the selfish giant was only thinking about his own pleasures. He was so proud that he had such a big and beautiful garden. He felt very bad when he watched that in his absence the children entered the garden and enjoyed playing there. He scolded them badly and ordered them not to enter his garden again. He also made very high walls around his garden so that no one should enter his garden. And in the entrance, he hung a notice board in which it was written that trespassers will be prosecuted. That means the person who would enter without permission would be punished. That day went, and after that, not a single kid entered his garden. And after that, persistently, winter overlapped the garden. Now the trees, grass, and birds were sad. Why? As there was no one to hang around their twigs, branches, and there was no one to listen the birds' songs. Trees stopped giving flowers and fruits, while the birds stopped singing. Now the spring came in the whole country, but they did not enter the garden. In whole country, everywhere, new flowers were grown in the plants. But this garden was untouched by the spring. As a result, there was still winter. Once a flower raised his head. The flower tried to come out, but as the flower saw the notice board by the giant that the trespassers will be prosecuted, means without permission, if anybody would enter the garden, he would be punished. Due to this fear, the flower retracted back. It did not bloom. Now the giant was restless. He did not understand the cause of such a long winter. He was surprised to see that the whole country was enjoying spring season. But in his garden, there was stillness, silence all around, and all the trees, plants, leaves, branches were covered with snow. The grass was covered with white sheet of snow, and frost had painted all the trees with silver color, as you can see in the above image. Frost and snow invited north wind. As you know very well that north wind are so cold winds which come from north. Here winds from the north roared throughout the garden. They gave heavy sound as they move very rapidly all around. North winds brought hail to the garden. Hail broke all the chimney and roof slates. As you know very well, when it rains and it is extreme cold weather, the raindrops convert into ice, and that is only called hail, as you can see in the image below. This heavy hailstorm had broken the chimney and roof of Selfish Giant's house. This made him very sad. But hey, see what happened one day. One day, children made a hole in the wall and entered the garden. Now, as the children entered inside the garden premises, all the way, everywhere, the spring season was visible. Birds started singing. The giant woke up by the sweet chirping sound of the bird. Birds chirping felt like king's musician to him. The giant looked outside and he saw children playing in the garden and trees welcoming the kids by lowering their twigs, new soft branches. The giant understood why spring came so late, because spring refers to the beauty. It gives rise to soft and delicate leaves and flowers. Everywhere it brings happiness. In the giant's garden, he had prohibited the entry of the delicate children. So, if there was no beauty, no happiness in the garden, how could the spring come? And as the children entered the garden, everywhere happiness spread. So, the spring season also came there. Now, daily the children used to play in the giant's garden. One day, the giant saw a kid in the garden alone, trying to climb the tree. Frost and snow were still there on that tree. The tree had already lowered his branches, but the kid was still too small to climb. The giant approached secretly from behind and helped the kid to climb. When he helped him, the kid, who was weeping badly, stopped crying, stopped weeping, and he became so happy, and he kissed the giant's cheek. Other children were frightened by the giant. They were too much afraid of him, and they were running from him always. But when they saw that the giant helped the boy, they also became so happy. The giant asked the kid to stay, and after that he broke the wall. Everybody was allowed to enter his garden because he understood the value of love. And now, again, the garden was full of beauty and happiness. And when the child sat on that tree, which was having frost and snow over it, quickly the whole tree was covered with beautiful flowers. But one day, it so happened that the child whom the giant loved a lot was missing. All the children were playing in the garden, but the giant was not able to see that loving kid. He also asked the children about him, but the children told that they never saw that kid. On that day, they had seen the kid for the first time. Days passed. The giant was still missing him because he was the boy who kissed him on his cheeks. Days passed and the giant grew older, but he never forgot the kid. He now did not fear from the winter, as he knew that winter was just passing by. One day he saw the same small kid playing on the same tree. As he looked him, the giant became happy and ran towards him, shouting, "Where were you? Where were you?" And once he reached near the kid, he saw big nail scratches on his hand and the feet. The giant was in a rage. That means he was so angry. And he asked him how he got the injury. But when he asked this, child replied that those were the wounds of love. Actually, when the giant helped him to climb the tree, when he was weeping and he was not able to climb, that time the giant put him into his hand for making him climb the tree, due to which the child got injury by the giant's nails, and therefore he got injury. Actually, the boy was an angel, and he had come to take the giant to the paradise. That means heaven. The child replied him that one day the giant had let him go to the garden, and now he had come to take the giant to the paradise because he loved him a lot. And next day, when the children came into the garden to play, they saw that the giant was lying dead, and he was covered with white flowers near the tree. Dear students, this beautiful and touching story teaches us that sharing creates happiness, and that when you show kindness to even the smallest and weakest of people, you are preserving something that is sacred and holy. The giant showered his love towards the boy and other children. And on the other hand, the boy, who was an angel, took him to heaven, which is the ultimate desire of every person. Every person wishes to go to heaven or paradise, and for that the person tries to do good deeds. The giant did so, and so he got heaven after his death. Hope you enjoyed the story and got the moral. Thank you very much for watching the video.